Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We have a winter storm beginning to unfold as I speak now. This is now 7:15 a.m. Sunday morning. So this is 12:30 Z, and just like we've been talking about for days now, we've got snow beginning to unfold down here across areas of the deep south. So we have some to go over today. Not a whole lot, but just gonna get a video out for you guys, just going over the latest, give you an update on what we're expecting with this over the next several hours. So like the video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and please leave a comment about what you're seeing. I kind of doubt that all of this is hitting the ground, at least as rain, or as snow. This line may be in a different place, and I don't think it's quite cool enough yet for some of this, but hey, I may be wrong. So let me know what you're seeing and let me know where you're watching from. So let's get right into it. So as you may have guessed, this is a loop of the latest radar. So I'm going to leave it on the latest frame here. And we have areas of, I'm just going to zoom in here, heavier snow beginning to develop on the back side of this from Pensacola area all the way up near through Atlanta here. Just west of Macon right now, Columbus, in this Dothan, Georgia's down here. I may have already said you guys, but either way, you're in it. And so this is the latest frame of the MRMS, which is the multi-radar, multi-sensor system. So there can be artifacting issues here. So what we like to do instead is look at an actual radar tower. There can still be artifacting issues here, but we like to look at that. So this will start from the south and move to the north. This is a radar down here near Panama City. We see very high resolution picture here of snow all the way over the water. That's awesome. You guys down here, please let me know what you're seeing down here. I know there's some viewers down here, so let me know what you're seeing. Heavy snow showing up on our radar returns here across areas of the Western Panhandle. So let's move up a little bit towards Dothan. I mean, look at some of these values. This is just insane. 30 decibels of snow. That's huge. The snowflakes are large. It's falling fast. The rates are heavy. Sharp cutoff over here to the west. We move up to the north a little bit. Let's look at the tower here in central Georgia. Yep, same thing coming up. Let's look at the Atlanta tower, and what a cutoff just south of Atlanta. This may move north, but you always were close. And if you say move up to my radar tower here, snow is showing up on it, but not in any of this precipitation up here. At my house right now, it's 38 degrees outside, so not going to get the job done yet. It may have to cool down first before we can see anything. So this is the latest. I'm going to leave it on this, and we'll come back to this at the end of the video and just go over anything we're seeing. Before I do that, though, this circle you see right here is mesoscale discussion. They've just issued it. What I'm going to do here is get it kind of centered here. You guys can pause this if you would like to read it. I'm not going to necessarily read over it, but both of these paragraphs just go over what the professionals are seeing right now. Pretty much backs up what we're talking about. Just area of heavy snow. They're just watching it. So that's the latest observations here. So we're going to go over and start and just look at some model guidance. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because this is a nowcast thing. We're hours away. It's already started, actually. This is the latest full run of the HRRR that we have. Let me reload this. So here we go. This is the first frame, valid at 11Z. So this would be 6 a.m. It's now 7:20. So this is picking up well on our precipitation, and it moves it off to the east, so that areas further east begin to see it. Central Georgia really getting this. Heavier band down on the Florida-Georgia line, for example. That's not exactly what's going to happen necessarily. Rain really begins to take over, and the snow really just begins to diminish as we get on with time later. This is lunchtime, and we see no snow anymore. So we have several hours of snow being modeled off the HRRR from this morning that is only southern base. No snow flying around in my neck of the woods. No snow flying around in South Carolina anywhere, actually. So that's going to bum a lot of people out. And even though we're so close, you almost don't even look at model guidance anymore. You just have to look at what's going on. But the good thing is the HRRR is initializing pretty well here. I'll give it that. What about the latest RRFSA model? What does it have to show us? This is one of the more aggressive solutions. You can see timestamps up in the top left corner if I forget to mention them. So this would be 7 a.m. just about now, picking up on it pretty well, although maybe extending the snow a little bit too far north, but regardless. And it continues its band further north and keeps it narrower. We go on in time here. This is be 9 a.m. just a few hours out ahead of us here. Some snow showers across the Greenville-Spartanburg area, making. Then there's a break. They don't just continue. It's too warm overall. Band of snow all the way from the Gulf Coast line, just like it is doing right now, all the way up through Dothan, Macon, and then up towards the South Carolina border. Atlanta misses it. It may start off as a tiny bit of rain, but you're just too close to that line. And we move this on in time here. Eastern and southern areas of the South Carolina upstate could definitely see some snow showers flying around based off of this. This is not necessarily a forecast. We're just going to go over some of this. And then areas of central Georgia hit with this heavier snow band. This would be 10 a.m., sorry. So less than 3 hours out ahead of us. And then it moves on out. I'm going to do this on the fly because I forgot to. I'm just going to look at the current hazards map. So just kind of like we figured they would. If you remember tuning into yesterday's video, there were winter storm warnings up like in here. And they've changed these dark blue to freeze warnings as far as I know. That's what these are. They were freeze watches. Yes, they're freeze warnings. This purple, lighter purple in comparison, that you see on your screen surrounding the pink is winter weather advisory. So they've expanded these two mainly just further to the east and north overall, some down to the south. They've really just elongated it a little bit, and definitely more winter storm warnings all the way down near the Gulf Coast. So that's our current hazards with this. And that's all I'm going to look at with model guidance. So we are going to look at the expected snowfall. This is Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and South Carolina that you're really primarily seeing here. This is what they're calling for. This is not the highest end. This is not the ceiling. This is what they're expecting to happen. So in this lightest blue shade you see that surrounds everything else, it goes all the way up here. That's traced to an inch, which is a decent range, but still, it's traced to an inch. And then this like sky blue color you see in here is 1 to 2 inches. And then there's like little areas of darker blue right in the middle. And that is 2 to 3 inches. So overall, across the areas that have these winter storm warnings, that would include cities like, I'll just try to name some, Sandersville, Macon, Abbeville down to Albany, and then Dothan, Alabama here on this, all the way down to the Gulf Coast line. So, for example, a city like Tallahassee, for whatever reason, you're not marked on this map, but you're just outside of it. And so this is what they're calling for. Now, I'm going to show you this because I think it's possible. I really do. This is the high end. So 1 in 10 chance, 10% the chance that this is going to happen. So we have areas here, more widespread areas of 2 to 3 inches across areas of southern Georgia. And then, I mean, it's tiny, but there's even a tiny little thing in there of 3 to 4 inches being modeled. So this is just a beefed up scenario from what I just showed you a second ago. But a lot of these totals are roughly the same. They just throw some higher totals into South Carolina, really, and slightly beef up the chances for higher totals down here. But like my neck of the woods, Greenville, Spartanburg, let's say Atlanta to Charlotte. Charlotte, let's look at what you're expected to get. Nothing. So on the high end, you get an inch. and Greenville Spartanburg gets half. We're being called for a trace, 0 to a trace. So I'm gonna leave this up. We may go back to this. This was updated just, very recently here, within the last hour or so. It's good to see that. So yeah, this is the high end. I feel like what we're going to end up doing is something between these two. I don't know if we're going to get quite this, and I don't know if we're going to get what that first one was really showing here. This one seems a little bit conservative in my opinion. And then we look up at North Carolina here. This is the same graphic, what you're expected to see here. So I have some viewers up here, Greenville, North Carolina, up to Williamston. This is just, you're just kind of in a dead area. Trace amounts, just like my neck of the woods here. Charlotte, none. And then we look further to the north. Winston-Salem, a trace. Greensboro, half an inch. Darlington, half an inch. I can just name these cities here. Raleigh, Durham, half an inch. And, Lillington, Stanford, Smithville, Mount Airy. Most of these places are trace amounts to half an inch. That's what they're calling for here. Now, same thing, I'm going to look at the high-end amount as well. This is a very different graphic, isn't it? It still highlights the central areas of North Carolina, which we've been talking about for days now. But it really highlights you guys. It goes from trace to half an inch to 3 inches on the high end. And this would include areas like Pittsboro, Raleigh, Durham, Louisburg, and we have Henderson up to South Hill, Virginia in this. I may pronounce some of these names. I don't live here, so forgive me about that. And then, sorry, I keep clicking off of it here. So this is just definitely a more beefed up scenario, and I honestly think we're going to do more than what we were seeing here. This is just a little bit too conservative in my opinion. I may be wrong, and I'm sure that you snow lovers that live on this map that you're looking at right now would love me to be absolutely correct about this. I'm sure you would love this to happen. On the low end, I'm sure you'd love this to happen, right? So we may get something like that. But our model guidance, we're still so close, but our model guidance is still not too excited about giving you guys a whole lot of snow. So yeah, that's what they're calling for snow-wise. So we're going to go over some more observed information here. This is the latest frontal analysis and surface observations from the Weather Prediction Center here. So you can see very clearly a warm front draped down across areas of the southeast here, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. And in front of this front, so on the east side, we have 40s temperatures-wise. And those are in red here across all of these stations. And then another thing is that these stations, wherever you see these pink dots, is rain. With the more dots there are, the heavier the rain is. And then on the back side, immediately behind it, we have upper 30s and 40s still. But look back here, we have low 30s, 20s showing up. So after this front makes its passage through some areas, give it an hour and it might really cool down, depending on where you are. So this is the latest frontal analysis here. And now we're going to look at the low-level temperatures here. So I said in yesterday's video, and I stand by this, there are certain scenarios where it can be very, very cold at the surface, say 20 degrees at the surface at your weather station outside, and you're still getting precipitation to fall in some sort of liquid form, like freezing rain or just normal rain, and you're wondering what on earth is going on, how is this possible? And it's because what form of precipitation falls relies a lot on what is going on in the atmosphere, not just surface temperatures. So I will look at surface temperatures here in a minute on a composite map. I'll pull that up. But this is the 850 millibar temperatures, height, and wind. So 850 millibars standard is about 1 kilometer. So that's just over half a mile for us who live in the US and don't use kilometers often. So just over half a mile up there on average. And where these dotted lines, dashed lines here turn to blue is where they turn to freezing. This is in Celsius. So 0 degrees Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit. Notice where this line lies. It lies all the way down in near Columbia. And then our highest risk areas are just on the edge of it, and it's moving east with time. So areas that are seeing snow right now are just right along this line. However, surface temperatures up here are a little bit warm, and that's the flip side. You can have these really cold temperatures aloft, but if it's too warm at the surface, as you would expect, it's not going to stick, or it's going to fall and end up being just this melty, slushy mess. So this right here is vorticity. We've talked about this before. This is just a measure of energy. I'm not going to go over it any more than that. This is just energy in the mid levels of the atmosphere. So you can see our trough digging down here across areas of the south. We've been talking about this for days now. And since we've been talking about it for days, I'll talk about it now too. The vertical line I just drew is its axis. Its axis is, as it was modeled days ago, it's well off to the west of our risk area right now. So this is vorticity, this is energy, and this is the latest of what they're seeing with it. This is observed, not modeled. Don't worry about these red and blue lines here. Those are the amount of advection of this, and that just means the amount of change there is. So in these blue areas are positive values. So that's where this vorticity is going. And then these red values are where the vorticity is leaving. So don't worry about those. That's not what we're really trying to look at here. We're just looking at these shaded colors, these greens and reds up underneath those. And so that's where our energy is. The axis of that energy is down here across southern Mississippi right now, well away from our risk area, which is one of the reasons it's cool, but not cold yet. I mean, it's 38 degrees at my house. It's cool, but it's not quite cold enough to get the job done yet. And then we're going to look at the 700 millibar relative humidity, and we can look at the temperatures as well. The reason I pulled this up is because in that mesoscale discussion that I clicked on right near the beginning of the video, they talked about one of the caps on this event being that just behind the front, there's a lot of dry air filtering in. So it may end up cutting our snow totals a little bit in some of these areas just because it's too dry aloft. So let's go over this a little bit. Areas you see in green here is where at least 70% relative humidity or higher. If you just heard a thud sound, that was my phone falling out of my pocket. But it should be okay. So 70% or greater relative humidity in all of these green areas here, and it gets higher as you go in. So I mean, there's 80%, there's the 90% contour there. So don't worry too much about the values. But anywhere where it's not shaded is up to 69%, if you will. But these areas, this air mass just behind the front, is not just barely below, it's dry. And you expect that. So the only reason I bring this up is some of these areas, and say, I'll do some circling, like southern central Georgia down here. I mean, this is like the highlight area right now. You guys down here, moisture wise, with rain, you're good. But notice that this line right here, this cutoff, is not that far from you guys. And as that moves to the east, it will probably put some sort of cap on your snow totals. But really, the question you guys should be asking is, when is that thing going to get here? If it doesn't get here, if it lags an hour, that's an extra hour of snow, if you will. So let's not get too in depth with this. It's complicated. It's hard to understand, and it's really not worth going over here. So that's the last of the tabs I have open here. So we're going to go back here, and this is the actual latest frame. We're going to do some observing here. So this was valid at 7:34, 1 minute ago for me, Eastern time, and we have heavy snow all the way up near to Atlanta, just south of Athens. And then this band of snow is pretty narrow, but over to Macon, Warner Robins area, down to Columbus, Dawson, Georgia, Blakely, Georgia, Dothan, Alabama here, Crestview, Florida, And I mean, you can zoom in and talk about cities and name cities until you're blue in the face, and that's not helpful. If you live in these areas, you should recognize some of these cities, some of these more major cities that are showing up here. So we're gonna leave it on that. What we're gonna look at next here might take a second to load. My computer's not a huge fan of this, but we're gonna look at it anyway. Okay, it did pretty well. This is valid at 7:15, so this is about 15 minutes old, and these are temperatures from all of the surface observation systems and all the stations across the U.S. And they use computers to stitch it all together, make it look smooth like this. So there can be issues with this, but overall it's pretty accurate here. So let's take the best view I think we can here across our risk area. Where you see it purple and light purple, so I'm going to draw a line here. That is generally where it's cold enough to get some sort of wintry precipitation. Areas to the east of it are too warm. Areas to the west of it are cool enough at or west of that line. That's why they've put this mesoscale discussion right over it here. So don't worry about like, oh, was this like warm thing back here? It doesn't really matter. It's still in purples in general. So let's use an area like Greenville, Spartanburg down to Atlanta. Atlanta's cold enough right now. The sun is just coming up. I mean, I look outside and I can see some light, but it's not too bright yet. So areas in the Greenville, Spartanburg area up to Charlotte here are just above this cooler air. I mean, 38 at my house. I said this probably 3 times now. And a lot of the stations around here are observing very similar temperatures. So that's too warm to get the job done here. And we'll have to see. This cold air is diving south and it's diving east, progressing east as well. So it will move over here. I mean, this is Sunday. We're going to go to church here, and most likely by the time we get back from church, it will be cooler. But we have some precipitation. It's just not quite timed right, and it never was. I'm not honestly too bummed about this because the ceiling was never high, except when we were out at too long of a range. And this can change, guys. I mean, we're close to this, but the atmosphere has done crazier things, and I'm sure you guys know that. For areas, I mean, a lot of these areas are probably heartbroken at hearing all of this. Let's say areas, let's forget Georgia for a second. I apologize. We'll go back to you guys maybe. North and South Carolina here, we were modeled to be really, really good with this right off the bat. Coastal areas, I feel bad for you guys. I really do. You guys are the ones who started off with this event little under a week ago. When we first started seeing model runs that showed it, it was all coastal based. And we've trended it so far to where I'm talking about possibly getting it up here where you see Greenville in South Carolina. That's like hundreds of miles away. So it's not even close. And I feel bad for you guys for that. There are probably people in Greensboro over to Greenville and Fayetteville areas of North Carolina who are looking at this and looked at the graphic I showed you guys earlier where what you're called for is less than half an inch across the entire area. You're probably looking at that and you're heartbroken. And I am too. We may get more than that. I'm not expecting more than that. And say areas, I'm going to zoom in closer here to where I live. Let's say Greenville to Simpsonville, Anderson over to Pickens, and then Oconee and Clemson area over here. So we are not modeled to get much of anything at all. Our short range model guidance doesn't really do it for us, and then the National Weather Service really does not do it for us. So just press on. If you got too caught up with this emotionally, learn a lesson from it. Because it's really easy to do, and I've done it before. You see these model runs that give you at your house 6 inches of snow, and you think, wouldn't that be awesome? And you just start daydreaming about it and think about how awesome that would be. You can't get caught up in that across areas like this. Now you would think, well, why is Georgia getting it? You still think that, right? because we're up further north in latitude in North and South Carolina. And I'm sitting here on a Sunday morning talking about it snowing possibly inches down near the Gulf Coast. So what's up with that? Well, we'll go over it right now because it's actually being shown pretty well here. Uh, Cold air is diving down just like this behind the front and the trough aloft. Notice how I'm going to draw a line across these darker colors. Notice how they're doing that? This region right here, there's no air pushing up against these mountains necessarily, but the mountains are blocking the air from coming in from the north and west. It's just lagging a little bit. That's why in areas, I'm going to get rid of some of these lines here. Areas of right in here where you're thinking, why is it not cool like it is down here along the same axis? It's because of these mountains. And it's a detriment a lot of the time. So, yeah, I don't get too bummed out about this. Depending on exactly who you are and where you live, this kind of video may make you really, really happy. And if you're someone like me, it didn't really affect me. We may see some flurries flying around, but I'm not gonna be able to sled in this. I'm not gonna be able to make a snowman in this, for example. And areas further to the south, let's say Columbia down to really down to Orangeburg areas here. Have some friends that live down there. Florence, definitely coastal areas. Charleston, Bluffton, Myrtle Beach, Savannah. You aren't going to get anything, or rather, your chances of seeing much of anything are just so low. So I know I'm yapping. I'll leave y'all alone. That's all I have for this morning's video. I may put out a video later, but I doubt it. I think I'm gonna get past this event and I'll get a video out Monday morning and we'll go over what we're gonna see for the next weeks. Just like we made some videos about that already. There are already some more favorable time frames we're looking at further on in the future, so we'll look at that. Before I go, we will look at the last few towers down here. Lander, you're close, but no. Macon, Warner Robins right on the edge here. Let's click on your actual tower. So again, depending on where in Macon you live, it might be raining or snowing. That's how close it is. Let's go down here. Yeah, just heavy snow. I'm so happy for you guys. And you've gotten it 2 years in a row, but you're getting your fair share down here for sure. Blakely, Dawson, over to Albany. You guys getting some heavier snow. You can see all these cities in here. And then let's use Tallahassee. As of right now, it's barely even raining in Tallahassee, but you've got heavy precipitation moving in from the west and a lot of snow mixing in with it on the backside. So that may move towards you. Heavy snow all the way down to the Gulf Coast with some rain mixing in. We expect that. And then, let's see here. Over closer and Macon, and then Dublin. I'm pretty sure, I don't know where it is on this map. Yeah, right here. Perfect, I found it. So here, I honestly think if anywhere is going to overperform, it's going to be somewhere in here. So tell me if I'm right. We're gonna come back Monday morning. We're gonna go over this event and at least a little bit and see how we did. We've been talking about this for nearly a week now. So I'm calling it. This area is gonna overperform a little bit. Areas of like Americus down here are already getting snow. So you're gonna have several hours of it, and if everything goes right, you may get several inches. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.